Let's get a cyclist's point of view on what the downtown Criterium course is pretty much like. Here we have Jim Swoboda on the camera for our coverage team. He just took the turn on to Howard Street off of Spokane Falls Boulevard. Les, why don't you tell us what the cyclists are doing at this point?
Well, basically what we're doing is we're going to set the corner up so we can take it sharp by that hay bale there. And we're going to move to the right-hand side of the street off of Wall and Main and move in towards the left-hand side again, trying to stay as close to the left-hand side of the curb as we can. Now we're moving on to a right turn right into the speed roller skaters here.
Any gear changes or speeds? What can we say about speeds?
Basically, I would say if there's any gear changing, it may be one change per lap, but very doubtful with gear changing. And I would say speeds are going to be right in the 30 miles an hour and above. On Post Street in Spokane Falls here, we do have nice wide boulevard, so they're setting it up. And we like to stay to our left-hand side when we're taking right-hand corners so that we can cut them real sharp. And this is coming right into the final turn here. And positioning is very important.
And great camera work by Jim Swoboda on the motorcycle there for our coverage team. As we get back to live coverage, already somewhat of a breakaway. We got 3 riders leaving the pack.
We have Scott McKinley in first and a crest rider right behind him. Looks like Alan McCormick.
And as you heard in the background, Mike Myers announcing the first preem of the day. And we'll have several of those preems there for merchandise and money. That's always a big incentive to get the racers to go faster in the cycling class.
That's right. And today we also have a nice special of the downtown Criterium, which is the speed lap. And the fastest rider, they have 6 laps to designate the fastest rider, and they're going to win $1,000 for someone that has done and made that speed.
About 6 opportunities at the hot lap today. Last year's hot lap time was 53 seconds by Michael Farmer. Is that who that was?
Right. The record right now is by Leroy Nitz, not so much on time, but on speed. I believe it's 42 miles an hour.
That's incredible. Can you imagine going 42 miles an hour around this corner right here? That's incredible.
Appears to have Greg Orovitz in front.
And that's our leader at this point in the downtown Criterium for the senior men. We'll take a quick timeout and come back to more in the 1990 Washington Trust Cycling Classic.
And right now our current leader is Scott McKinley from the 7-Eleven team. And our second place rider is Steve Speaks from Crest, who's a Spokane area resident, and Greg Orovitz from the Coors Light team. We have a breakaway going right now. It's approximately a 15-second breakaway. As you can see on your screens, they've got a nice gap going, and they're deciding on whether they want to maintain this and work together.
That is a huge breakaway gap, and pretty early in the race, too.
Pretty early in the race. We have 51 laps to go, and each lap takes about 1 minute.
Again, our hot lap speeds from last year, we had a 53-second lap from David Farmer. He won $1,001 from Domino's for doing that. 54-second lap from Peter Gilling, who won the downtown Criterium last year. So we're going to see some very hot laps in this year's race. And again, the winner of the hot lap gets $1,000, a major incentive. Cash, always a big talker on the downtown Criterium.
Cash,
the whole classic.
Cash always talks. It's not always the winners of the race that come up and want to take these laps. I think the rumor in the past was Lee Harvey Nitz needed that money, and he came in and he took the money and got on the plane and went home. So money does talk, and $1,000 for doing work for 6 laps is a lot better than doing hard work for 60.
But there's a drawback to going all out on those hot laps, though.
That's right. If you want to finish the race, you may be off the tail or you may be taken out. So you really have to watch what you want to do. And in some cases, some of the teams just say, go for the money, and we'll split it up later.
10 laps into the race, we got 50 to go. There you see our leaders. And there's a huge pack coming onto Spokane Falls Boulevard from North Post. And we have another preem lap here. $50 in cash goes to the winner of this one.
And we're going to have probably a 3-up sprint between Orovitz, McKinley, and Steve Speaks.
Now, usually, the winner of the preem will split that money up with his teammates.
Generally, what we do on our team with our riders is we make a decision before the race, and most of these guys basically work on that same premise, is that they're going to split their prize money up.
And good reason for it, too, because the teammates will usually provide some important blocking to allow that teammate to get that preen.
That's right. Most of these riders are out front mainly because their teams are doing good work at the back to keep anybody from chasing them down right now. So we have Steve Speaks out in front, Greg Orovitz. McKinley has dropped off the back. Appears that he might have had a flat tire. He's calling up for a aid car to come up and change a tire for him.
There are 2 race service crews out here on the downtown Criterium. In fact, we'll be hearing from some of those people in our broadcast. Do some great work on the course.
That's right. Sometimes it makes or breaks, but if we can get good wheel changing, the riders can get right back in the race. Doesn't interrupt the flow.
Wheel change sometimes takes just near 7-8 seconds.
That's correct. And in this case, what you'll find is that the riders get 1 free lap up until about, I believe, 5 laps left in the race. So once that rider gets his wheel changed, they will take him back into the pits, and then they will put him back in the position that he was in. So he hasn't lost his position, but he has to wait till they come back around.
There you see some race service right there. Why don't you describe that for us?
Well, that's Scott McKinley, and he's basically going back into the pits and waiting to be put back out on the course. So once Orovitz comes around, along with Steve Speaks, they will put him out.
Now, coming up in today's coverage, we'll be hearing from some of the top racers in today's downtown Criterium. We just saw Steve Speaks win a Prix just a while ago. We'll also be hearing from the likes of Alexi Grewal, Susan Elias. Plus, we'll hear some interviews with various support people involved in the Cycling Classic, the people that really make this operation run smooth. You're watching the 1990 Washington Trust Cycling Classic from downtown Spokane. In several ways, the downtown Criterium resembles a car race like the Indy 500, for example, like we just saw. When a cyclist has some damaged equipment, the athlete will make a pit stop. And we said there are 2 pit crews along the downtown Criterium that provide race service for the racers. At one of those stops, you'll find Jim Ingram, technical support director from Campagnolo. Jim, tell us what kind of services you provide during the race.
Well, we come to the race, the Washington Trust Classic this year, and we provide a neutral technical service for the riders out here, meaning any rider that comes out here that has a mechanical problem with his bicycle, we're equipped and ready to make those changes. Be it a flat tire, we'll change the wheel, let them use one of ours. Be it an adjustment on the bicycle before the race, we'll take care of those adjustments, and we make sure that the guys that come here to win the race actually win the race. They're not hampered by mechanical malfunctions.
Have you had to service a lot of bicyclists during the race?
Absolutely. We do it all the time. In fact, I carry 6 spare bicycles with me, and there will be probably today more than one of those bicycles will finish the race. It generally happens. I also carry 20 spare wheels, and there's already a few out now, and before the day's over, we'll have more of our wheels in the race.
Now, during the downtown Criterium, it's a very fast race. What kind of problems do you think you'll be servicing that?
Generally, those are, we'll have flat tires. That's the main thing that happens. But occasionally, there'll be a crash. Riders will go too fast into a corner. They'll bump or something like that, and they'll crash. We'll need to pick them up, wipe them off, put the new equipment on their bicycles, being wheels, and then get them ready to go back in at the end of their free lap so they can go in. That's generally what happens.
You expect a lot of problems during the downtown Criterium compared to the other stages of the Classic?
Well, it's the last day, so there's a lot of the wind's out of the sails, so to speak. So they're a little more interested in actually finishing the race. And if they've come this far, the object is, in fact, to finish the race because that's where the prizes are. So sometimes they're a little bit more conservative. On the other hand, if it's a real tight couple seconds between the top 3 or 4 guys, there can be some real serious attacks going on and some real aggressive riding, and that's the key to look for.
And there you see Jim Ingram's rig right there. Those tires up there, rather expensive, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. You're running anywhere from $50 to $70 a tire. Currently, Scott McKinley is joined back in with the leaders Greg Orovitz and Steve Speaks. So we have 7-Eleven Crest as well as a Coors Light rider leading the race right now. And what's happened since you've been gone is the Crest team has moved their riders up front. Alan McCormick, as well as the rest of his teammates, are blocking off the front. And we have another speed lap coming up here, Crash.
And no doubt they'll be going all out on this one. Is it wise on their part to go out real hard this early?
Well, I think what you find, that's what teammates are for. And sometimes you send your teammates out, work a little hard, and it's what we call toughening up the race.
Again, the record to shoot for, if they can do it, is 53 seconds from last year, but they don't actually have to beat that this year to collect a big prize of $1,000.
Well, just that fastest time is going to take the money home. Our leaders are just rounding the corner here.
This is This is lap number 16. We got 44 to go for the senior men in the downtown Criterium as they come onto North Posta, 2-block straightaway.
Coming right up on our motorcycles.
Here they come back into our view.
Coming right at the finish line here for another prize.
58.3 seconds on that hot lap.
This lap was actually a little bit slower than the first lap posted. This was a minute .2, so Scott McKinley still holds on to 58.3.
Now, for the most part, speeds for the men will average a little over a minute, maybe about minute 5 to a minute 10 during the course of this race.
Probably closer to that minute 5 than a minute 10. They're actually moving real fast. Even the last riders in this snake-looking peloton here are actually going extremely fast.
Now, as you look at that big pack there, a lot of bumping and shoving going on with a big field like that. We got about 130 racers. You're going to see some bumping, intentionally and maybe otherwise.
Well, you'll see a lot of physical contact. In some cases, you'll find that there are riders that are extremely aggressive that move themselves up through the pack at will. And other times you'll just find, just from the high speeds going into corners, you get thrown into other riders. So it's a pretty good balancing act that goes on out there.
Now we got a preem lap going.
For the field, not for the 3 breakaway riders. So get the field caught up here and start letting them make a little bit of money.
So there you see the 3 breakaway leaders. They do have a big lead. And once again, we have the preem come up now for the pack to get them back in the race. As you see those 3 breakaways, do have a big lead. We'll get back to more of the Cycling Classic. It's going to be a good race. We got about 42 laps to go. You're watching the 1990 Washington Trust Cycling Classic from downtown Spokane.
In the front right now, looks like somebody from a Washington team from Sirac. Just have to check his number, but it looks like Steve Poulter. We'll just have to check that. Can't get a clear view of his number right at this second. Steve Poulter, the former member of the British Olympic team, so he's got some good credentials to be out there. I believe Steve just turned 35, so he's out there showing some of the young boys how to do it.
Back to Michael Zanoli. He's 6'6". That's an awful big size frame for a cyclist.
He gets anywhere he wants to go on that course. He's just simply a very physical guy, and if he wants to get into a corner, he takes it in the corner.
There's the ambulance probably attending to that site of that recent crash. Sad to see that happen. We'll try to get an injury update once again on that crash. Just recently, we were talking about Steve Speaks, number 10 from Team Crest. He's one of the big challengers in the downtown Criterium and for the overall individual title. And in fact, we had a chance to recently talk with Steve Speaks. Steve, you're one of the front runners going into the downtown Criterium. Does that create any pressure for you?
Well, this stage, all the pressure's been behind us, I think. Today, it's a really good race for the crowd, and there's a lot of preems out there, and I'm looking to go for the fastest lap prize. That's $1,000 for the rider with the fastest lap.
Does that wear you out, though, when you try to go for the individual championship in the downtown Criterium?
Yeah, it might. I think this race is so close that the time bonuses are going to be a factor, and the top 3 get time bonuses at the end of the race, so maybe it's better to save for the finish.
Now, Team Crest is doing very well in the standings as well. What's the team strategy for the downtown Criterium?
Well, we've come into this race from the beginning with only 4 guys, and everyone else has 5. We lost a rider to sickness the day of the team time trial. So our team strategy is to just stay at the front and try to go for the preems, which is cash. So to make some money, that's the name of the game.
Hard to turn that cash down, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Steve Speaks from Team Crest, and Team Crest currently in 5th place in the overall standings. As we get back to live coverage of the 1990 Washington Trust Cycling Classic, is the downtown Criterium.
We're trying to get an injury update on our rider, if we can find out about him.
Again, we had a crash just a little bit ago. 3 cyclists went down. We're working on an injury update.
We're working with the media
so we'll pass
director
that
right
on
now
as soon as possible.
We're just seeing if we can find out any information
There we see the pack is a very close, tight-knit pack at this point. We've had several breakaways, a lot of strategy going on. But now it's all pretty much one big break. There's a turn on to Spokane Falls Boulevard from North Post. Team Crest, a lot of members of Team Crest up front.
Team Crest is up front, also Subaru Montgomery, as well as Coors Light. We've got Michael Zanoli and Alexi Grewal leading into the turn. We have a time bonus coming up, and what that means is that the riders that are in contention, and that's why you see Alexi Grewal up there with Michael Zanoli, they are up here to gain time, actually lose time off of their accumulative time, and it's important. You have 5 seconds for first, 3 seconds for second, and 1 second for third. So these times are important since this is a race that's based on time. The rider that finishes this entire race, not just today's race, with the least amount of time is the overall winner, and that's important. As well as it's important for the general classification for the teams. So it's not just for the individual, it's for teams as well.
Coming up, we'll be hearing from Jeff Main, but first we'll check out and see who the winner of this time bonus lap is. Give us the call, Les.
Well, we've got Alexi Grewal. Alexi Grewal came across first. Subaru Montgomery rider was in second. We'll have to check on who that was. And it looked like either Steve Speaks or Alan McCormick from Crest was in third place.
So Alexi Grewal wins that lap and gets that 5-second time bonus. That'll help out a lot. Now, since it all began some 6 years ago, the Washington Trust Cycling Classic has earned a reputation as one of the toughest stage races in America. It is one of the country's top races, and it's a must-stop on the cycling circuit for all serious national racers. The man behind the Classic, who has the big job of overseeing the whole production, is rookie race director Jeff Main, who says, indeed, it is a major effort. Jeff, this is the 6th year of the Classic, your first year as race director, and another successful Classic.
Yes, obviously the people who have done this in the past are the ones that really make it happen. It's the people out there setting up the crews and the people that set up the event and the corner marshals, the people that manage those people like Kathy Collins and that crew. We just couldn't do it without them.
Now, it's been a very busy time for you. I've seen you running all over the course. How's it been?
It's been really good. It's been really a great race. In fact, this last couple of days with the weather, it's been just beautiful racing for us. And we have some top riders here, and so it's nice to have some not only terrific courses, but also some good weather for them to race in.
Now, the course has been gaining quite the prestige on the racing circuit, third largest in the country.
Yeah, it's one of the largest, in fact, if it's not the largest amateur stage race, and that's because it goes over 7 days. It's definitely the longest standing stage race. It has a history that goes back beyond even being called the Washington Trust Classic when there was the Inland Empire Classic. So, yeah, it's gained quite a reputation with the riders.
I got to be happy with the spectator turnout too. Last year, 50,000. It just continues to grow in Spokane.
Yes, it grows every year. It's neat to see, and again, it has a lot to do with the people that are in the pits that are making it happen. You know, the people that manage the support, like Steve Loveland and Gino Lasecki, who's the technical director, and all those people have been working on it for the last 7 years. They know what has to be done, and it just gets done like that.
So you're ready to challenge Bloomsday for popularity?
We'd like to think so, but that's a different type of a race. The Bloomsday is really more of an everyone can do it race. We'd like to have some of that kind of racing in cycling, but anyone can ride a bicycle, but it takes a few, a proud and a crazy to get out there and ride like these folks do.
Okay, 84, 88, we've had the Olympic cycling trials in Spokane as part of the Washington Trust Cycling Classic. Look ahead to 92. What do you see?
I think we got a good chance to get it again. We are going to put in a bid for that. We've got to go down in September. Oh my gosh, that's almost here. And do our bid again for the USCF. And we think there's a good chance we'll get it again. The thing is, though, that this particular race stands on its own. Even when we don't have every 4 years that bulge where we get the racers for the Olympic trials. This race will stand on its own, and then that will be an augment to or in addition to this particular race. So I'm excited about the possibility of having him here again. But even if we don't get the trials again, I know that this race is going to grow and get better as it goes along. And in fact, this year is the best group of competitors we've ever had. And so that just tells you it's growing in prestige and in quality of competition every year.
Are we ever going to see Greg LeMond here?
Who knows? That's up to Greg LeMond.
Race director Jeff Main of the Cycling Classic.
Right now we've got Steve Speaks, Bart Bowen, rider from the U.S. team, as well as another identified rider out in the 4-man breakaway. Roy Knickman is chasing the breakaway from 7-11. And we have a speed lap coming right up here.
And we'll get a result on that speed lap after this short break. 26 laps to go in the downtown Criterium. You're watching the 1990 Washington Trust Cycling Classic.
In order to be eligible for the Domino's Pizza $1,000.
Back to coverage of the 1990 Washington Trust Cycling Classic. I'm Crash Carlin along with Les Schroll, coach of the Rive Cycling Club in Spokane. And as the cyclists turn onto Spokane Falls Boulevard, yet another lead change.
We have Chris Huber from U.S. Composite Team. Steve Speaks won again. So we have another little bit of money in his pocket for the Crest team.
Yeah, in fact, Steve Speaks has won the last 2 cash preems here in the downtown Criterium. And while we were away, we did have a hot lap.
That's correct. And our hot lap was Scott McKinley, and he didn't beat his previous time. So right now we have Steve Speaks, Chris Huber, Bart Bowen from Subaru Montgomery. And we're trying to pick out the number of the other rider that we've got in there from Shackley. And we'll pick that out in just a minute.
Now, before we go any further, we do have an injury update. A few laps ago, we had about 3 cyclists go down in a big heap.
I believe that our injured rider is Gary Alexander from CMC Rolla. And he's from Calgary, Alberta, and he has a broken collarbone. So
very, very unfortunate. It was a severe accident. About 3 riders went down.
I hope he can get back up there real quick.
And apparently the other 2 riders were okay, maybe just a bad case of road rash.
Right, back up on the bikes. Bart Bowen is pulling through right now, and it looks like we're getting a breakaway that wants to stay. So they're working together and keeping them out front.
Riders on Howard now, going south. Now, last year we had the big breakaway at about the 15 lap mark. Currently we're on lap number 22, but it was Peter Gilling who made the big attack with about 15 laps to go. He did get a challenge from Paul Daka, but managed to hold on and get the Criterium win.
And Paul Daka is an extremely good Criterium racer. It's nice to have our Washington riders competing real well in one of Washington's and the nation's premier race. I believe our rider from Shackley, we'll just have to pick him out.
There you see the front runners, about 4 cyclists. One right in back, the other out's gonna...
Chris Huber is an extremely strong cyclist. I had a chance to ride in the U.S. Pro Composite car while they're doing the team time trial, and he was pulling them through at over 35 miles an hour on each 30-second pull. So he's an extremely strong individual.
We're getting close to another points lap here in the downtown Criterium.
We're on lap 21 right at the moment.
As you can see, the front runners have a good block lead on the rest of the pack, but that's still not a safe lead with 20 laps to go. We'll give you an update on that points lap in just a minute. First, we're going to hear from a man they call the boy wonder of American cycling. That's Roy Knickman of the 7-11 team, number 57 on the course. He's been up in the front a couple of times. Only one other American rider achieved junior level results comparable to Knickman's. You might have heard of this guy, Greg LeMond. Knickman and LeMond have one other thing in common. They both done some time at the Tour de France. The Tour de France a couple of times, very rigorous, over 20 days of racing. How is it? Tell us a little bit about it.
It's very difficult. It's probably the most demanding endurance, athletic event there is, because of the fact that you have to race 6-7 hours a day for, over 3 weeks at times. And, the stakes are high. The stakes make champions. They make legends. That's the type of race it is. So every day you have to be on your top form, doing everything you can for individual wins and, the team win.
How do you keep up the pace, the endurance for that length of time?
I really don't know. It's something you do. You're conditioned, and over the years you build up to it. I've been racing 11 years now, and done 2 Tour de France's, and for me, I'm still a long way from being properly and primely conditioned for my best tour ride. So it's just something, everyday riding for 10 years and systematic training.
Ever break for fun during the Tour de France?
Oh, no. All you do is eat, sleep, and ride, and that's like it, because it takes a lot out of you.
So how's Greg LeMond?
He's amazing. He's a legend. He's something unusual. He's not like the rest of us. He doesn't follow the same rules. He doesn't have to eat the same things, to sleep the same amount, to train the same way. He can do things that would just kill me, you know, or the normal cyclist.
Is he a good guy to work with?
Yeah, but I haven't ridden with him on his team since 1986 and part of 87 before he came into his accident. And he was a great guy to ride with, you know. But again, it's something completely different. He doesn't rely on a team like a normal rider does, you know, because he's so much stronger and so much more confident that he does things a lot sort of outside on his own.
So give us a comparison, the Tour de France and the Washington Trust Cycling Classic.
Well, it's two completely different things, but for the level, you know, in the United States, there are very few large races. And this is an important stop on the calendar of a lot of, you know, major U.S. teams. For ourselves, we're coming off a European campaign. We're a little bit tired, so we're using it to rebuild after a break. But for others, it's, you know, one of 5, you know, top goals of the year, and, you know, holds great significance.
And we're back to live action at the 1990 Washington Trust Cycling Classic. Knickman, by the way, a great guy to talk to, 24 years old from Boulder, Colorado.
Right now, our current leader is Steve Speaks. He's starting to break away from our lead group, and he just set our hot lap time of 55.51 seconds. So he's the new leader in the hot lap. A lot of bucks rolled up into that.
That is a hot lap, again, worth $1,000. We got about maybe 1 or 2 more chances left at trying to break that time of 55+ seconds. 17 laps to go. We've done 43, and we also had a points lap as well.
Right, and I believe Steve Speaks won the points lap as well. Our current leaders are Steve Speaks from the Crest team, Fred Reidenbach from Shackley. We finally did find out who that was. Bart Bowen from Subaru Montgomery, and Chris Huber from the U.S. Pro Composite team. So we've got some really strong riders that can maintain and keep that breakaway going.
17 laps to go, 43 in. And we'll come back for an exciting finish in just a couple of seconds. You're watching the Downtown Criterium at the Washington Trust Cycling Classic. Washington Trust Cycling Classic is the Downtown Criterium for the senior men. And don't forget, we have the women's final right after this one.
Right now, our current leaders are Fred Reidenbach from Shackley, Steve Speaks from Crest, Bart Bowen, Subaru Montgomery, and Chris Huber, U.S. Pro Composite, with Jeff Pierce leading the chase, and they're approximately 15 seconds down from the leaders. With a $50 prize lap coming up, so get these guys a little incentive. 7-Eleven is leading the chase. Number 57 here is Roy Knickman. So Roy Knickman and Jeff Pierce, another member of the 7-Eleven team that's raced in the Tour de France, as well as having won one of the stages in the Tour de France. So we've got some real good talent chasing these guys down.
That's quite an accomplishment to capture anything with the Tour de France.
Well, especially when you win the last tour right down the Champs-Élysées, and everybody gets to see in the world. So
not too bad.
Not too shabby at all.
Here's a look on North Post. Again, we have 4 cameras strategically placed. They're doing a great job today with some excellent coverage. Coming on to Spokane Falls Boulevard.
Subaru Montgomery keeping a rider out front, trying to protect that team lead going into the last day's racing here. We'll see what kind of gap we have.
Steve Speaks still out in front for Team Crest, having a great race. He's won a couple of preems. He's been up front for the most part of the race.
Just happens to roll himself through. We've got about 11-second breakaway going right now.
Now, what about the overall individual front runner, Michael Engelman? His position right now, his lead really doesn't look in jeopardy for the overall individual title. He had a 137 lead coming in over the second place man. I believe that was Michael Carter.
That's correct, and Alexi Grewal in third. Right now, Michael Engelman just has to stay in the pack and just stay upright, basically, to claim the overall winner's jersey of the race, as well as all the prize money there. So he just has to stay protected and just ride a smart race. There's not a significant enough of a breakaway to leave him and have a time differential. So he's doing fine.
When you take a look at that pack again, look for the man in the red jersey. That is Michael Engelman with that leader's jersey. There's a breakaway. Steve Speaks still out in front, and we have a speed lap going on right now.
This is the one. He's either going to get a 55.51, or he's going to. No one beats him out on that. He gets to take the money.
And if Steve Sees his time hold up. You can see him jump for joy on his bike.
It's a good paycheck for 6 laps worth of racing.
Now, most likely he will split that up with his teammates.
He may or may not on that one. He'll have to talk to those guys. That might be his own doing there, but I'm sure he might switch.
Okay, we're getting close to the end of the speed lap here. I'll watch the time on this one for you. Here's a view on North Post. You see the challengers drafting up as Steve speaks. And Steve Speaks holds on to the fast lap time. He wins $1,000.
That'll make him happy.
Definitely a happy camper, and Steve Speaks still out in front. Now, the overall winner of the Washington Trust Cycling Classic will be the rider with the lowest cumulative time for the 6 stages. To make sure everything runs smoothly and fairly with the timings and the standings, we have several officials from the U.S. Cycling Federation. One of those officials is Ann Custon, the chief referee at the Classic. So give us a brief description of some of your duties.
Basically, the responsibility of the chief referee at the event is to keep charge of the competition. We make sure that all of the riders are competing fairly and they are awarded their prizes correctly, and just watch the event.
Now, you also penalize some cyclists at times. What kind of penalties do you usually see on a racing circuit?
Well, in stage races, especially in Pro-Am races, we penalize riders both in time, since the stage race is based on time, and we can also penalize riders or fine them monetarily, depending upon the severity of the offense. And we have done both. Thankfully, though, we have not had that at this point.
Now, what kind of things do you penalize for? Elbow pushing and things like that?
We penalize riders for what we call hooking, pushing, illegal feeding, where riders take food and or water from support personnel either in wrong locations on the course or from ineligible support personnel, people who are not identified by their teams.
Now, what's the most you can penalize as far as money?
Well, gee, as far as money, we can, it's basically the chief referee's discretion in both money and time, so I don't want to say sky's the limit, but we try and keep it within reason.
Are you a tough referee? Do you crack down on them?
I'm fair. We're fair.
Now, we should also mention that a time bonus of 15, 10, and 5 seconds will be awarded to the top 3 finishers in today's race. That time bonus will be subtracted from the rider's time. Now, we should also maybe talk about whether or not we've seen some bumping in that huge pack and whether some bumping will yet to come here in the final 9 laps.
Well, I don't think we've seen too much right now, but I think you'll find that the jockeying for position for these last laps is very important for these riders. Some of them are going to try to get to the front to block off for their teammates. So
there you see that huge pack. We've got 8 laps to go. We put 52 in the book. An exciting finish coming up. We'll have it for you. It's the senior men, the downtown Criterium, the Washington Trust Cycling Classic. Four laps to go in the downtown Criterium for the senior men of the Washington Trust Cycling Classic, and there's our breakaway.
Right now we've got Fred Reidenbach from Shackley, Steve Speaks from Crest, Bart Bowen from Subaru Montgomery, and Chris Huber from U.S. Pro Composite. They're really working hard together to maintain their break, and it looks like they're setting themselves up for first through fourth. So let's see how they're doing. They're really getting to the point where they've got to make or break back here in the pack. So they've really got to work hard to either block people out or get up there and get for prizes themselves.
And our breakaway leaders have about a 10-second lead over the rest of that pack. And it looks like we're in for a very exciting finish with 3 laps to go in the downtown Criterium for the senior men.
I saw Alexi Grewal off the back there just a second ago, so it looks like he's satisfied with his placing. He's not going to take any chances these last few laps.
Should mention no more free laps on the course.
That's right. If a rider gets a flat tire or a mechanical problem, he's just basically got to finish the race with the placing he's basically in at that moment. He's got to start right there if he gets a flat, or he's got to ride it in. So
back on the Spokane Falls Boulevard.
We're still down to Fred Reidenbach, Steve Speaks, Bart Bowen, and Chris Huber. Right now, Bart Bowen from Subaru Montgomery is taking a lead in through the corner coming up.
And no doubt a lot of lactic acid buildup in those legs right now. Those guys are pumping hard.
You got it. And it looks like we're having a real massive attempt here from 7-Eleven to catch up. And we've got Jeff Pierce from 7-Eleven really working hard to try to catch this break before the end of the race. We've got 2 laps to go.
Now back in the pack, you can expect a lot of teammates of the breakaway leaders. They're doing a lot of blocking, trying to slow down the rest of the pack.
Right. Keep anybody from catching these guys is the team's job right at the moment. Chris Huber is now leading. You can watch the riders. Basically, they're getting a little psyched up. They're throwing their water bottles out. They want to lighten that load, even though there's probably hardly any water left in those bottles.
Well, we've seen several photo finishes throughout the Classic, so maybe something like that could help.
Well, you're looking at some very good sprinters here. You've got 2 laps to go. Chris Huber is a very good sprinter. Bart Bowen, I'm not familiar with his reputation, but we still have some very, very good racing coming up here. 2 laps.
And there goes another water bottle.
You got it. Get him off the street.
Nothing but an all-out sprint at this point.
They're just jockeying for position. The smart riders aren't going to lead it through in the last couple corners. They want to sit right back on that wheel and work right off of them as they go through. So it's not important to be leading into the final corner as much as it is to work off those wheels.
Back on to post going north, that 2-block stretch. After that's back on to Spokane Falls Boulevard as we get set for that final lap. You'll see some fast speeds on that one.
You got it. They're coming right up on the final corner here for the last lap. You've got Steve Speaks leading through with Chris Huber, Bart Bowen, and Fred Reidenbach from Shackley.
Now I saw the breakaway leaders looking back. What are they looking at?
They want to see how much space they have as far as how much jockeying they can do to maintain their position.
Now you can see them bending over. They're getting very serious about this now. About 3/4 of a lap to go.
No one wants to work too hard right now. They want to let somebody else do all the work, set themselves up for the win.
Going south on Wall, back onto Riverside. We'll catch them coming up on North Post. There's the pack.
Looks like we have somebody from the LA Sheriff's Department that was catching up to that breakaway there. We'll have to see how close he's come.
North Post. As we get set for the finish here, they'll make the right turn on the Spokane Falls Boulevard. Well, Les, why don't you give us the final call as they make the big turn?
Well, we've got Chris Huber leading out. Steve Speaks is right off the back. Bart Bowen. Looks like Chris Huber is really working hard. Chris Huber, Steve Speaks, and Bart Bowen with Fred Reidenbach taking 4th.
Great finish. Good close race, too. And great effort by Huber.
And here comes the rest of the pack is going to be finishing right through. So we've got American Commerce.
And we'll check out that replay once again. Les, give us the call, the top 3.
Well, you've got Chris Huber, who is an extremely large man, extremely strong, and he's just leading the sprint out. And Steve Speaks, who's been working all the sprints all day, is just no way he's going to catch him right here. He's totally confident. 30 feet from, he's got his hands up. He won the race, so he knew it right off the corner.
Great finish for the senior men in the Downtown Criterium. Again, the winner of the Downtown Criterium, it's Chris Huber. Congratulations to Chris Huber, senior men's winner in the Downtown Criterium from the U.S. Pro Composite Team. Second place, it's Steve Speaks from Team Crest. And the third place winner, Bart Bowen from Subaru Montgomery. Again, our winner is Chris Huber from the U.S. Pro Composite Team, and it was a great finish once again.
Awesome sprint.
It was Huber by about a half a wheel over Steve Speaks from Team Crest. There you have a good look of downtown Spokane. And let's go down to the winner's circle. Mike Myers, the public address announcer. He's talking to Steve Speaks from Team Crest, our second place finisher in the Downtown Criterium.
Ladies and gentlemen, also he receives the Domino's Pizza Speed Lap Award of $1,000 cash. Let's go back to that. Now, when you heard the bell ring, was it your intention to really go for it, or did you just find yourself crossing the line first? Or tell us about how that happened.
Well, I was in the breakaway earlier with Scott McKinley and Greg Orvitz, and we were really motoring up there, and Scott had a really fast time, and I didn't think it was going to be beaten. But then Huber jumped with a half lap to go, and I went after him, and I caught him right before the last corner. And he had rounded up so fast that all I had to do was come around and sprint the last 200 meters.
Which you did very well. $1,000 is in your pocket. We congratulate you, and we congratulate you for second place on this final stage. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, please put your hands together for the outstanding effort of Steve Speaks of the press team. Steve, we can have you maybe just stand by just a second. We'll present you on the podium.
He's had a great classic, finished second on the infamous course of the Seven Hills, the Wild Rose Prairie Road Race. It's been a great classic for him. And, of course, second place here at the downtown Criterium. Now here's the first place finisher, Chris Huber, the U.S. Pro Composite team. There you see him right there talking with Mike Myers.
That lead breakaway and some of the things that were happening up there.
Well, I just, followed the wheels, basically. I knew Steve Speaks was very, very strong. I know Bart Bowling's strong. And Steve jumped, and really put the hammer down and just said, hey, I'll go and give it a shot. You never know for sure what's going to go. You just have to kind of be committed to it and figure it out.
And how did you rely upon your teammates as you were up there in the breakaway?
Well, I'm sure my teammates were all in the back, and I'm sure none of them were exactly chasing me down. So,
was everyone working fairly well together in that breakaway?
Everyone was pulling pretty good.
1990 Washington Trust Cycling Classic. Again, the winner of the downtown Criterium, Chris Huber from the U.S. Pro Composite team. Now, don't go away. More exciting racing to come. It's the senior women's downtown Criterium. The start of that race coming up shortly. You're watching the 1990 Washington Trust Cycling Classic. To the 1990 Washington Trust Cycling Classic. Hello again, I'm Crash Carlin along with Les Schroll, coach of Spokane's Arrive Cycling Club. And the start of the race coming up very shortly for the senior women in the downtown Criterium. In fact, let's join Mike Myers, the PA announcer, for the racer introductions.
Series number 201 with 3 points, Susan Elias. As she rolls to the starting line, second place in the Queen of the Mountain Points Series Award with 8 points of the U.S. National Cycling Team, Linda Brenneman. The leader and current Queen of the Mountain with 13 points, representing the U.S. National Cycling Team, Ruthie Mathis. And now we'd like to present the top 3 riders in yesterday's road race, which saw these women competitors finishing up at the 6,000-foot elevation level high atop Mount Spokane. Please put your hands together for third place out of the Midland Bella team, number 223, Sherry Rogers. Third place in yesterday's road race. We've already introduced the next 2, but please, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together from Mission Viejo, California. Second place in yesterday's road race, Linda Brenneman. And the winner in yesterday's Mount Spokane road race out of Boulder, Colorado, Ruthie Mathis. We would now like to present the top 3 riders in the overall individual general classification. Ladies and gentlemen, we've already introduced these riders before, but please let's recognize them again. Third place overall going into this last day of racing, 1 minute and 33 seconds out of the lead, Susan Elias. Represents the Gatorade Michelin team. Second place, 44 seconds out of the lead, going into this last day of racing, again from Mission Viejo, California, Linda Brenneman. And first place, of course, no secret, wearing the red jersey at the starting line, signifying the current stage leader, ladies and gentlemen, Ruthie Mathis. These are your champions in the women's category as we go into this last day, and we now bring forward the rest of the women competitors as we are about to start this final stage.
And there you see our field of women's cyclists, about 30 in the pack, a lot smaller than the men's effort out there. Of course, a lot of the women down at the Ore-Ida event. Getting set for the start of the women's criterium. And we're off and rolling. 35 laps to go. It's a lot shorter race than the men's criterium. 35 laps for the senior women. And getting up to the early lead is Ruthie Mathis. You'll see her in the red leader's jersey throughout the course of this race. Now, some differences in the women's race compared to the men's race. First off, it's shorter by 25 laps. And the hot lap is worth $500 instead of the $1,000. And also some other differences as well, especially about style.
Well, basically, also on the hot laps, it's only going to be 4 laps instead of the 6 that they were doing in the senior men's. The style of riding is somewhat similar, but there's a tendency not to be quite as aggressive type of riding from the other gals. So you might see some conservatism, but basically the gals ride fairly similar to the guys, probably just not quite as aggressive right at this moment. So we've got a Weight Watchers gal out front. Nice pan shot of the crowd here.
Good crowd at the Cycling Classic this year. They had about 50,000 last year, and it continues to grow every year.
All right, and our current leader right now is Meg Gordon from La Costa, California, and she's on the Weight Watchers team. So she's setting up her teammate, which is Linda Brenneman. It's hard to distinguish some of these gals that are on the same teams, but you see right now you've got one gal in the Stars and Stripes jersey, and that's Linda Brenneman. And you also have Meg Gordon from the same team. So different jerseys, but when you're one of the national champions, you'll find that, like Linda Brenneman, you're going to wear that Stars and Stripes jersey. So
now again, the cyclists we're watching for in the women's race: Ruthie Mathis, Linda Brenneman, Susan Elias. They're all 1, 2, 3 going into this one. Let's talk about strategy for them. What are they going to be doing?
Well, right now, Ruthie Mathis needs to protect her lead. She's 44 seconds up on Linda Brenneman. And what you have right now is you've got 2 of the Weight Watchers gals out front, and that includes Linda Brenneman. So she's got to be marked by one of the U.S. national team members. So it's important for her to get out front and have her teammates both block as well as lead her out. So the strategy is for Weight Watchers to really get their riders out. They've got a nice little gap going right now, and I think we'll just have to see how this unfolds in the next couple laps.
2 laps into the senior women's downtown criterium, there are breakaway leaders. Early little breakaway there. Got a 33 laps to go.
We'll just see how long they can maintain this and see if they can open up a gap. Weight Watchers is a real good team. They have a good deal of experience with some of the major races. They've done the Sand Point Classic race, as well as they've also participated in Your Ida, one of the largest and longest women's races in the world. So they're a very experienced team out there.
Race is currently on Riverside, coming back now onto North Post. Now, speeds for the women, they're about 10 seconds a lap slower than the men on average, I'd say.
Just about, but I would tell you that those lap times are somewhat deceiving when you start putting some of the, not so much the 1-2 pros against them, but the Category 3 and definitely the Category 4 and junior men. They're pretty fast out there.
Now, some speeds we can look forward to are some times on the hot laps. Last year's hot lap winner was Katrin Tobin. She had a hot lap time of 1 minute and 1 second. Of course, today we saw the men do the hot lap in 55 seconds, so there's a little bit of a difference there. Now again, the cyclist to watch out for, one of those anyway, among the senior women, is last year's winner of the Downtown Criterium and of the entire '89 Cycling Classic. That's Susan Elias of the Gatorade Michelin team. Elias doing well at this year's Classic. She finished first in the Boulevards and second on the infamous course of the Seven Hills. And coming into today's race, Susan Elias in 3rd place overall. Susan, you're the defending champ from last year in the Cycling Classic and the defending champ of the Downtown Criterium. Any pressure to repeat as champ?
There's pressure I put on myself. I would love to repeat, but I have some super teammates here. I'd like to see them go too.
Was it tough to win 2 straight, or you try to give the credit to somebody else?
Well, you don't think of it as, well, I want to win again, I want to do a double. You think of it as another race where you want to try and do your best, and that might sound a little bit sappy, but that's the way I think.
Okay, what's the strategy for the Downtown Criterium?
Well, we have to keep the speed up, and we're interested in, of course, the various preems that are up, and we also have to keep in mind that we're going to be heading to Japan tomorrow, so therefore we can't go overboard. That is for the World Championships in Japan.
Tell us what the World Championships is all about. What are you going to be doing there?
Well, we're on the road team. The 4 of us that are competing together are members of a 6-member World Championships road race team. So we're going over there to compete on September 1st, and we'll be up against some really big riders, the best in the world. We have the Frenchwoman Catherine Marsal. We have some very good riders from East and West Germany to look out for, but we have very, very high hopes for the U.S. team. Our course is a 15-kilometer circuit with a 2-kilometer climb in the middle. So the Washington Trust has offered us a lot of good training on the mountains.
Oh, without a doubt. Are you going to have enough time to recover for the championships?
We think so. That's why we planned it this way.
Last year, Elias had teammate Betsy King to work with in winning the race. Betsy not here this year, but Susan Elias still going strong. Got a speed lap on this one. We'll watch the time on this one, get the clocks rolling. Again, the lady with the fastest speed lap time wins $500.
Currently, we've got Sherry Rogers and Meg Gordon. Meg Gordon from Weight Watchers, Sherry Rogers from Menlo Velo leading the pack. And the gap is getting a lot narrower here from the breakaway. So Weight Watchers is really working hard to keep a rider out front and get everybody tired. So let's see how we're doing.
We're 5 laps into the race, 30 laps to go in the downtown criterium for the senior women.
Excuse me, that's Elizabeth Kaiser from Menlo Velo.
Ron Riverside coming back onto North Post, coming back north on Post. Again, we're watching the speed lap time. This is the first one we have 4 speed laps in the women's race.
And all the women are together now, so this lap's up to grabs for everybody.
Like somebody's just making an attack there on the near corner.
So first one across the line here is basically going to set the speed lap for the first of 4. All right, and we got to pick the number out.
Number 228, let's check our roster on that one.
228, Tricia Walters from Empire Wheelman from Santa Rosa, California.
Tricia Walters was the winner of the Manitou Park Criterium. She wins the first speed lap in a time of 1:05, not a bad time. 7 laps down, 28 to go. There's Spokane. We'll have more of the Cycling Classic after this timeout. You're watching the 1990 Washington Trust Cycling Classic. Back to coverage of the 1990 Washington Trust Cycling Classic. Crash Carlin along with Les Schroll, coach of the Rive Cycling Club in Spokane. And there you see we have a big breakaway.
Trying to pick that number out. All we can see is a 3. I don't think that's going to help us, so we'll just have to wait 1 second and find who is in the lead here. Number 213 is Maureen Kaila from Valaha, Saratoga, California. Team Valaha.
So that's our leader at this point.
And looks like everybody's catching up right now, Crash. So one fast lap and everybody's kind of tiring out and sitting back and let somebody else do the work. So
again, our hot lap time at this point, the first one we had was 1:05. That's the time to beat for that $500 cash prize. Now we've also seen a couple of cyclists in the danger of being lapped already.
Right, and what happens in a race like this, since it is such a short course, lap riders will be pulled, or riders that are not in contention will be pulled. And that means that their race day is done once they're pulled off the course.
And primarily that's for safety considerations. They're a danger if they're in the way.
Safety considerations, and also at this point keeps the riders' pace right up, and it makes it easier for the race to roll on. So
I saw some race fans along the course. Not too thrilled at this point, but when they get down to that final 2 or 3 lap mark, they're going to be on their toes.
Maureen Kaila is still in the lead. Doesn't look like we've got too much action going on to get a nice breakaway going. And we've got 26 laps to go.
Already put away 9. Now for the first few laps, the cyclists basically getting oriented to the course, and they'll try to stay and relax for the most part, except when those preems and the hot laps come up, and you'll see them move quite a bit.
Right, and you're going to start seeing Weight Watchers making some moves here, get one of their riders out. You've got Meg Gordon out in front again, or that's Laura Pecky. Seeing if they can get some action going here. So right now you have riders that are both trying to get a breakaway going, as well as riders from the Weight Watcher team trying to do a little blocking in there to let that breakaway go.
Now in last year's women's criterium, the big breakaway was with about 9 laps left. And that's when Susan Elias pretty much did her thing and got the victory. So to see a major breakaway this early in the race would probably not be the winning move.
The only breakaways you really see are just to toughen the race up, just get those riders a little bit tired. Weight Watchers has got a nice strong team and they can do that.
Okay, now we have a merchandise preem going on.
Tricia Walters, number 228 from the Empire Wheelman in Santa Rosa, is leading the pack right now around for a prize lap.
There on the inside, you see Susan Elias in the red jersey. She's the leader going into this one. Easy to spot her out in the field.
Right. She just needs to mark those teams and make sure no one gets away too far from her. She's got a nice 44-second gap.
While watching the men's criterium, we did see just a little bit of bumpiness so up because the field is just so big, about 100 plus some cyclists out there. Here we have a much smaller field. Are we going to see that much bumping along? I haven't seen too much yet.
Probably very little that you'll see out there. On occasion you'll get some, but mainly into the turns and out of the turns.
Back on the north post.
And we've got a Weight Watchers gal out front.
And the winner of this lap will get a merchandise cream.
That's Linda Brenneman, so she's making a move early here.
Linda Brenneman, second overall coming into this race.
And she's the one that has to make up that 44-second gap.
Linda Brenneman second on the Mount Spokane road race just last night. That's a big event to come back from. You're doing, it's not as tough as the men's race. The men do about 100 miles and the women do just a little bit less, but still that's a tough event to come back from.
You'll find that regardless of the distance, anytime you have to climb Mount Spokane on a bicycle, you're going to come back the next day a little bit more fatigued than if you've done something else. So Mount Spokane is a real significant race prior to something this important here. So it's a very hard race to come back and do well again. So you still have Linda Brenneman out in front, and looks like her teammates are starting to move up towards the front of the pack.
Back on the north post, Linda Brenneman with a slight lead as she comes back into view on the Spokane Falls Boulevard. Got 23 laps to go. We put 12 away. You're watching the senior women, the downtown Criterium. And we'll take a break and come back with more action. You're watching the 1990 Washington Trust Cycling Classic. It's lap number 13 of the downtown Criterium. 22 laps to go for the senior women.
Out front right now is Christy Nicholson from VC LaGrange from Rancho Cucamonga, California.
We'll be seeing a lot of lead changes in these final 22 laps as they take a turn up onto Howard Street.
Looks like the pack's just content to sit there and let somebody lead the race here. So we'll have to see if the leaders want to start working a little bit and start stringing everybody out.
That was a great shot from our camera crew, ground level, taking that big turn, laying that bike down.
Hopefully they don't have to test the hay bales out today.
Now, unfortunately, we did see one major accident in the men's race. Sad to see. We had a broken collarbone out of that one.
All right, now we have some movement. We've got one of the Weight Watcher gals off the front.
Again, a good turnout. Nice day in Spokane for the downtown Criterium. We've got temperatures in the 60s, which is perfect for racing. As we turn on to Spokane Falls Boulevard.
Meg Gordon.
As you can hear in the background, it's Mike Myers announcing the sprint lap. As you can see, they picked up the tempo just a tad bit here. Time to beat is 1:05. This is our second sprint lap of the afternoon for the women.
This would be an important lap for Linda Brenneman to work on. That gives her a chance to take 5 seconds off her time.
Really laying that back down around the corner there. The corners there is the dangerous parts of the course. That's why they had those hay bales there. In fact, talking to some race officials, the worst one, they say, is the corner of Post and Spokane Falls Boulevard, that last turn onto Spokane Falls Boulevard and the start-finish line. That's the key corner as far as trying to avoid some injuries.
Well, you're really setting up a lot of speed through that. I had a chance to ride the course, and it is a little bit hard maneuvering in there, so that's probably the hardest place to get around. And right now you've got Linda Brenneman up front, along with Meg Gordon from Weight Watchers.
Great place to watch some racing is the downtown Criterium. You can see how close you are, the spectators are, to the course itself and the cyclists. Now we have our sprint lap winner,
Susan Elias, number 201.
Try to get an official time on you in just a second here. Now, putting on the Cycling Classic in Spokane takes the efforts of many people, as you can well imagine. Most of those unpaid volunteers. One of those is Kathy Collins, volunteer coordinator for the Classic. Kathy says putting the race together is a lot of work, but also a lot of fun. You've got quite an extensive job coordinating all these volunteers for the Cycling Classic.
Yes, we really do. We have probably this race, over 200 volunteers for the 6 or 7 days of races that we do. Many of them are repeat volunteers. They've been here with me since 1984, 1986, and I know them and they know me, and they just keep coming back, and for some reason they love it.
Must be for the pay, right?
Yeah, I'm sure, or else the yellow shirt that says Marshall on the back.
Now, what kind of jobs can the volunteers perform?
Well, the volunteers that I work most closely with are called course marshals. They're required to be on the course for course safety, keeping dogs off, people off, vehicles off the courses. Yesterday on the Boulevards course, several of them were almost run over and were swore at and cussed at, and so they have to be a bit diplomatic too. It's real exciting. But basically it's just for course safety, making sure no vehicle, no pedestrian, and no dog are on the course when the riders come by. You've seen the race before, you know how fast they go. And on the corners especially, it's really integral and important that we've got good people there to make sure nobody steps out, for the riders' safety as well as for spectators. And that's what we're doing. That's just about everything.
Now again, how many people do you have working for you?
Probably over 200 this year. And in 1988, when we did the Olympic trials, we had close to 400 volunteers. And so it's quite a job. I'll be glad when it's over.
Kathy Collins doing some great work, along with a lot of other people for the Cycling Classic. Into a hot lap here, out in front.
Should be Linda Brenneman with a Stars and Stripes jersey, along with one of her Team Weight Watcher teammates.
See Susan Elias in third place. It's going to be Linda Brenneman.
We'll have to see what her time is. I timed her in 1:01.
Now I can kind of slack off a little bit. Left Linda Brenneman running a very hot lap there. That definitely does change the course of the race, those hot laps, and also the preems as well.
That's right. It toughens the race up. It gives the racers something to think about and do throughout the race, not just kind of sit in that pack. So there's lots of things. There's prizes to win, but there's also things to do while you're out there, setting up your teammates and so forth.
I believe that hot lap time was just over 1 minute.
So Linda Brenneman is now the new rider to beat for the Domino's Pizza Speed Lap free prize of $500.
Linda Brenneman in the top position for that $500 cash prize for the hot lap with a time of just over 1 minute. So that was a very fast time.
Well, we have Meg Gordon out front with Susan Elias chasing her, so we'll have to see what we've got coming down here in the backstretch in just a minute.
Back onto Spokane Falls Boulevard. Here you see our leaders with 17 laps to go, or about the halfway point, just over the halfway point. We put 18 down, 17 to go.
Tammy Jacks was leading that from Ward, California. Now we have Susan Elias, or excuse me, Ruthie Mathis back out in front.
And there you see some young cyclists in the making. Les, you're coach at the Arrive Cycling Club in Spokane. You work with a lot of youngsters.
Right. And basically any of those kids that are out there that are interested in cycling, they can definitely give us a call sometime, and we'd love to work with you. So we've got a great junior developmental program. We're probably one of the best in the state of Washington as well as the United States. So they come on out. They can do these kind of things that they see out here today.
And cycling, the fastest growing participation sport in the nation. It's kind of like where soccer was about 10, 15 years ago. It's just really growing.
Well, definitely in the Spokane area, we're really into our cycling here. So we'd love to have as many kids as we can get to come out and race with us.
And you've had a couple 3 cyclists in here in the some other categories here at the Cycling Classic.
Well, we had basically most of the kids out in the 13, 14 categories and the 15, 16 categories today. And we had a couple of kids in the Junior National Prestige Classic too. So.
And here we got a speed lap worth $40 in cash.
Leading through was Tanya Chiplick from the BC team. She's from North Vancouver, British Columbia. With 16 laps to go, there was a $40 prize that they're going to be sprinting for.
Great vantage points for those fans there. The downtown Criterium course there. You see Ruthie Mathis, the red jersey, leading the way. And there you have the big pack. Going on to Riverside, there's Mike Myers, the public address announcer, talking about Les Schroll right now. There's our basically where we are, right in that booth there, along with Mike Myers on the start-finish line of the 1990 Classic. Coming north on post, that 2-block straightaway. Ladies churning hard going into that final turn. $40 cash goes to the winner of this one. Susan Elias picks it up.
Susan Elias.
$40 richer. We've got 15 laps to go in the senior women's race for the downtown Criterium. We'll come back after this timeout. You're watching the 1990 Washington Trust Cycling Classic. It's the 1990 Washington Trust Cycling Classic, the final stage, the downtown Criterium.
Looks like Melanie Wong out front. Number 231.
13 laps to go. We've put down 22.
So we're on another speed lap right now, seeing if somebody can beat that time set earlier.
Now we've had talk of speed laps and hot laps.
Well, speed laps and hot laps are basically the same. So what they're trying to do here is just set that fastest time. And we're with 13 laps to go. $500 is a lot of money for people that haven't necessarily done a lot of winning here.
There's a turn on to Spokane Falls Boulevard. Susan Elias in the fluorescent yellow helmet there.
Elizabeth Kaiser, number 215 from Menlo Velo. And Susan Elias, number 201, coming across first.
And Susan Elias did not beat the time earlier recorded. That time was at about 1 minute 6 seconds for that lap.
Yeah, the riders coming out on the back stretch here.
Susan Elias having a very great classic, very good classic. She finished second in the Wild Rose Prairie Road Race, first in the Boulevards. I believe she finished fifth in the Manitou Criterium. And overall, she's in third place going into the downtown Criterium. There you see the pack as they come up post north in the women's Criterium. Now, the sad fact of any sport these days is drug abuse. Fortunately, some strong steps are being taken to stop that abuse, and the sport of cycling involved as well. There is drug testing at the Cycling Classic. The man in charge of that process is Dr. Scott Bradley, technical advisor here at the Classic. Tell us about the drug testing process in the Cycling Classic.
Well, it goes under the format of the U.S. Olympic Committee's program. The National Cycling Federation has the Olympic Committee come out and follow their program, which is selecting our winners and random riders to undergo a urine test for banned substances. It's a relatively simple process, and it's done to try to keep it fair for all riders.
Has there been a problem with drug abuse among cyclists?
Well, years ago, especially in Europe, there was a problem with cycling and drug usage, but the drug testing is so thorough and so common anymore that the races are done without benefit of performance-enhancing drugs. It's really a clean sport at this point.
Now, what if someone does test positive for drug abuse? What's the penalty?
It depends on what they were caught for. If it's an over-the-counter drug that happens to have some nasal decongestant or something that most of us would consider as very innocuous but happens to fall in the banned category, they'll get about a 6-month penalty for that. Sometimes it's only 3 months. But if it's for steroids or something that is obviously illegal, like amphetamines or cocaine, you could be suspended from anywhere from a year to life.
Any problems with the Classic so far?
We've never had a positive drug test here at the Classic.
Dr. Bradley, deeply involved with the Cycling Classic. In fact, he's one of the creative geniuses who helped design the various stages. So if some of the cyclists think the Mount Spokane Road Race a bit too painful, they can go see Dr. Bradley about that one. It's the downtown Criterium. There's the view on post coming north. See somewhat of a breakaway there among the senior women. Try to get a name on that cyclist there in the pack way back, about a half a block away. Back into our view, it's number 211.
Stacy Nicholson from Cello Pacific out of San Diego, California.
And here's our final speed lap, so you'll watch some hard pumping here in the pedals.
Linda Brenneman pulling through with Meg Gordon and a couple of Weight Watcher gals. They're really going after it now.
Now the time to beat is what, just over 1 minute?
1 minute and 27/100ths of a second.
Ooh.
So if we can shave those 27/100ths of a second, this is the last speed lap. They can win $500. So
that's right.
It's important.
Last year's hot lap time was 1 minute and 1 second by Katrin Tobin, so we've already seen that beat by just a tad bit.
Well, if they can work hard together, they've got a couple gals from the same team. They can probably lower that time down. We'll just have to see here in just 1 second.
So the time to beat is just over 1 minute to make it easy.
Right.
I see some weaving up there. That's all part of the strategy.
I don't think they wanted to take that turn through the front, so.
You see the cyclists constantly positioning themselves to get that.
They gave the lead up to Julie Young from Menlovello from Sacramento.
And that's Linda Brenneman
coming through, number 203.
So Linda Brenneman is the hot lap winner. She picks up $500 for being the hot lap winner. Congratulations to Linda Brenneman. We've got 8 laps to go. 8 laps to go in the women's criterium, the downtown criterium for the senior women. We'll have the finish coming up. You're watching the 1990 Washington Trust Cycling Classic. You're watching the downtown criterium at the Washington Trust Cycling Classic. 8 laps to go for the senior women. Now, as the racers cycle around the downtown corners at speeds of 40 miles an hour or more, there's always the risk of an accident. In fact, we did see one bad one in the men's final. When that happens, not to worry. The downtown criterium has 2 medical aid stations all set up with qualified staffers. One of those is Shannon Ward, an emergency medical technician. So how well equipped are you to combat the injury problems that might occur in the downtown criterium?
Basically, we've got kits set up with basic first aid, 4x4s, roller gauze, what we call a band net, which is an elastic stretch that we can just fit over the injury with a 4x4. On the course itself, we basic patch and wrap because the guys want to get back on the course and they want to start riding. They don't want the time to scrub out. Usually at the end of the race, that's when we scrub them out, make sure that the injury is cleaned, and if it's a very severe injury, then we send them to the hospital. We've got ambulances on standby all during the races.
So for the most part, what kind of injuries are you dealing with? Road rash?
Basically, it's just road rash, and it can be their whole leg or just a little tiny part on their arm. But we've had the whole thighs taken off on a few of these riders.
Do you experience a lot of problems in the downtown criterium?
Downtown criterium, one of the worst corners is Post and Spokane Falls Boulevard. We also have Wall and Main, which is also a bad corner.
You expect a lot of problems?
I am hoping for no problems, but the thing that gets them is the grates on the streets. Sometimes they get caught in the grates and then they go down. And when one goes down, they take out 4 or 5 riders with them. It's like a chain reaction all the way across.
Another thing to watch out for, the crosswalks. The right strips of paint, especially if they're wet, can be very slippery. Fortunately, we don't have to worry about that today. And unfortunately, we did have one major accident in the men's final. Gary Alexander of CMC Rolla went down with a broken collarbone.
Yeah, unfortunately, you get a lot of overlap wheels, and front wheels touching rear wheels. Front wheel's always going to go down, so we hope Gary's doing fine. Right now, leading is Madeline Torman from Paramount Cycling Club out of Eugene. She's only been cycling for 6 months. Not doing too bad here at the Classic. So she's a strong rider, and we hope to see more of her in the future.
Well, she's staying with them with 5 laps to go.
Talked to her earlier, and she really wants to get on this national team, so we'll just have to see how she does.
Now the winner of this lap gets a $25 cash bonus. Again, there's 5 laps to go. In the women's final of the 1990 Washington Trust Cycling Classic is the downtown criterium. Some of the race fans looking forward to an exciting finish. I think we're going to have that. All these ladies have stayed together pretty much throughout the entire race.
Well, unless Linda Brenneman can come up and get a significant gap here with the last 5 laps, Ruthie Mathis just has to sit in and protect her lead. So it looks like that's what's happening right now.
There's Susan Elias on the left of your screen with a bright yellow helmet.
And she's 1:33 down on general classification, so she's making a move here.
Well, she may be in third place, but she's $25 richer on that lap as we go to 4 laps left in the downtown criterium.
We'll just have to see if these riders want to maintain this break or if they want to kind of settle back into the pack.
But it's pretty much a shoo-in that Ruthie Mathis will win the whole cycling classic, the individual title.
As long as she stays up on her bike, she'll be doing just fine.
That was pretty much the case for Michael Engelman in the men's final just a few moments ago.
And now leading is Sherry Rogers from Menlo Velo from Los Altos, California. Looks like the pack is starting to slow down and everybody's kind of getting together again. So with 4 laps to go, it looks like we're getting into trying to set themselves up for an individual win here.
There's that stretch on the North Post. Cyclists got to be a little bit tired at this point, but they're not thinking about that. They're going past the pain.
You got it. There's still money on the line and still a lot of prestige in winning this last stage. So Weight Watchers is coming up to the front again.
Here you see one of the cyclists. They do a little bit of shifting on this course, maybe once or twice, but that's about it.
Number 213 is Maureen Kalla from Valhalla Cycling Club off of Saratoga, California. And again, we've got a move by Madeline Torman from the Paramount Cycling Club out of Eugene.
We've got 3 laps to go. The spectators getting set up for an exciting finish.
Looks like a nervous person out there. We're not nervous though, are we, Crash?
Just a tad.
Just a little bit. Not bad. We're doing okay here.
There's a turn on to Riverside.
I think we have probably the best view in the house right now.
This is a beautiful course, the downtown criterium. Not a bad spot in the house.
No, And we're all together again. And we still have Madeline Torman up front from Paramount. She's content to lead the group through.
Clear the course, clear the course.
You know, those marshals are doing their jobs.
Again, this is a major production to put on the Washington Trust Cycling Classic. Hundreds of volunteers.
We got it.
3 laps to go, and Madeline Torman still taking the lead. Doesn't look like there's any moves coming through the final stretch here. So
we got it. You're on.
Okay, we have 3 laps to go in the Cycling Classic here. Apparently, we got one ahead of ourselves.
Did you need to say anything about the
As you can see, it's a big pack there. Again, some young cyclists. Ruthie Mathis in the red leaders jersey. She's been a force on this Cycling Classic. There's a turn on to Riverside.
Nice shot of our crowd again, setting up for our last few laps.
Quite a difference in courses. Ruthie Mathis, she won the Mount Spokane road race last night. She's in great position to win the downtown criterium now too. So I mean, it looks like she can do it all. Do the mountain racing and also do the flat course.
She's definitely one of the better riders that we have here, as well as in the United States. We have a Weight Watchers gal off the front. As soon as we can pick her number up, we'll give her name out. With 2 laps to go, we have number 204, which is Meg Gordon.
Now you can see the pack starting to string out a little bit.
I think
long trail of bikers.
Definitely have to get this pace up here if they want to start getting them strung out a little bit more. It's a lot more fun to have fewer people to sprint against. And we have Christy Nicholson from DC LaGrange from Rancho Cucamonga, California in front.
It's the downtown criterium for the senior women. About a lap and a half to go.
Looks like everybody's starting to move right up to the front again.
You see the field is pretty much spread out there. What's the advantage to being on the near side as opposed to the far side of the street? Anything there?
Not right at this moment. Now they're coming down the final stretch, coming across for the last lap to go.
Looks like Ruthie Mathis and Susan Elias 1-2. As we get our bell lap, this is the final lap of the downtown criterium for the senior women. There you see attack on the far side of the street.
Looks like somebody really wants to go for it. It looks like Linda Brenneman from the Weight Watchers team. We'll take a look and see if we can confirm that. It is Linda Brenneman. And looks like she's going after the stage win here. She's starting to open up a significant gap.
Looks like a big lead for Linda Brenneman. She should be able to hold on and win the downtown criterium. On Riverside, getting now on to North Post.
She's opened up a nice gap here. We'll try to find out who's in second place, but Linda Brenneman is leading the race right at the moment.
And Linda's had a great classic. Looks like she will win the downtown criterium as we go on to Spokane Falls Boulevard, the final turn. Here she comes into our side.
Here she comes around.
Take it away, Les.
All right, looks like Linda's just going to kind of cruise through. Gets her hands up. Yep, she's won this race. Second place is Sherry Rogers from Menlo Velo, and I believe Susan Elias was in third. That's unofficial.
It was Susan Elias in third place, and Sherry Rogers in second place. Again, the winner for the senior women in the downtown criterium, Linda Brenneman.
Replay coming up. Linda Brenneman just cruising through on the last corner, realizing now that she doesn't need to work too hard. She's worked hard enough that last lap and a half, and she's just going to cruise right home, get those hands up. Let's see if she can get that big smile up for us, Crash. Yep, there she goes.
Touchdown.
There we go.
Nice job, Linda Brenneman.
Spike that ball, Linda. She's got it all.
Second place finisher Sherry Rogers, and third place Susan Elias. Linda Brenneman, she was basically in the pack to that final lap. Then she made the attack right at the 1 lap mark.
It's a good place to do it. There's not a lot of room to maneuver off through the last 2 corners to set yourself up for the sprint.
Again, the 1-2-3 finish. Linda Brenneman, Sherry Rogers, and Susan Elias in the downtown criterium for the senior women. We'll take a quick time out and be right back. You're watching the 1990 Washington Trust Cycling. Back at the downtown criterium, Crash Carlin and Les Schroll. Let's go down to the finish line. Mike Myers with Susan Elias.
And everything went exactly according to plan. You saw Linda come across the line first and really wanted to get her a stage win. And that's the way it went. Also, I thought it would be fun to sprint for some themes today, get some leg speed going for the World Championships we have in 5 days on the 1st.
That's right. I believe you leave tomorrow for that, don't you, in Japan?
I think we have 48 hours in transit or something like that. So we are leaving real early tomorrow.
And so tell me about how you felt today after yesterday's road race.
Well, I felt really good and springy, as a matter of fact, which is encouraging. We also wanted to make sure that things went safely and also have a little fun. So thanks to Washington Trust. I had a lot of fun here. Hope you have again.
We thank you for coming back. Ladies and gentlemen, Susan Elias, third place.
There you have Susan Elias, third place finisher in the downtown criterium and the defending champ from last year's criterium and of the whole cycling classic. There you have a look at Mike Myers, the PA announcer at the finish line. With our second place finisher, here's Sherry Rogers.
Tell us about how you came across the line second. You're up against the national cycling team or the Weight Watchers team. Tell us a little bit about some of your tactics.
Well, I feel like I'm a pretty strong criterium rider. I feel like I have a lot of power, and my game plan was to just keep an eye on a lot of the top riders who are in the lead and try to be on the wheel. And Linda likes to take flyers, so I keep my eye out for her, just like in Manitou Park. Same thing there. But I felt like I was a little bit boxed in for the last corner, but still came out and just got a little gap and stayed with it. No slowing down, and I just tried to stay with every break that went.
Well, let's review that last lap for a second. Who were you watching the most in that last lap?
Well, there was a big surge, and it got kind of packed right into this last corner. But I was looking for Ruthie was in front, and Susan Elias, and Linda came around on the side and just did a big sweep gap and got a good gap off the front right away into that first corner. And so I attacked through, kind of cutting through people and tried to go after her.
So it was a pretty wild last lap, huh?
Yeah, it was fun though.
Congratulations, a fun and wild last lap, which launched you to second place.
A very happy Sherry Rogers, the second place finisher in the downtown criterium for the senior women. And now, first place finisher from the U.S. national team, We're looking forward to Linda Brenneman with Mike Myers. There you go, Mike.
Ladies and gentlemen, she is not only the winner of this final stage, but I don't know if you won this or know this or not, but you also posted the fastest Domino's speed lap time, making you $500 richer. Are you pretty happy about that?
Yeah, I am. My teammates and I need to spend money over to you.
Let me ask you this. You look really perky. Are you even phased off by this race?
Well, I think I'm going on endorphins and adrenaline right now. I'm real pleased with the way that the race went. It went exactly the way that we had planned. It's been a great team for the World Championship.
Now let's talk about your team plan. Susan mentioned that the team plan was to make you the winner today. Tell us a little bit about how you were feeling as those team tactics continued to unfold during the race.
Well, I felt pretty good today. I felt like I had some speed in my legs. So I knew it was going to be a good day. We're all feeling real on right now. So we're just trying to benefit from that again.
It worked out. We're very happy that you'll be representing the United States at the World Championships. Ladies and gentlemen, your winner today, Linda Brenneman.
And there she is, the first place finisher in the women's final for the Downtown Criterium, Linda Brenneman, first place, and also $500 richer for winning that hot lap. Again, our top three finishers in the Downtown Criterium for the women as you see them take the podium. Third place, Susan Elias. Second place, Sherry Rogers. And first place from the national team, the U.S. national team, it's Linda Brenneman. And again, the men's winner, it was Michael Engelman. Well, let's make a correction on that. The overall winner is Michael Engelman. Top three in the Downtown Criterium for the senior men is Chris Huber for the U.S. Pro Composite team. Second place, Steve Speaks from Team Crest. And third, Bart Bowen from Subaru Montgomery. Here you see the women's winner one more time. Linda Brenneman, first place. For Coach Les Stroll and the entire coverage team for the 1990 Cycling Classic, I'm Crash Carlin. This has been coverage of the Downtown Criterium of the 1990 Washington Trust Cycling Classic.